All right, welcome everyone. So this is going to be the video screencast version of the GDevelop Road Rider Endless Car Game tutorial. So a little description here at the top, and here's the preview of what the game should look like when it's all done. I've been told that there are some possible errors in the game with some of the numbers and maybe some of the screenshots. So hopefully when I go through this tutorial, I'll be able to clear some of those up and take you through this great tutorial. Okay, so first you want to start off by downloading the assets and getting them into a desktop folder or something like that. And this will probably be a multi-part tutorial. I'm guessing maybe 4 parts or so we'll see. Okay, so I'm on a Mac, but you could do this on Windows as well. So I've got my main driving game folder here, and inside here I placed the assets, which are right now just sprites. So there we go. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is create a new project. The next thing we want to do is choose a folder for the project. So I'll navigate to my desktop, choose the folder, and then I'm going to choose an empty game. Okay, they're saying to create a new scene now, so click over here in the top left, add a new scene. I always like to rename the scene. I believe we're only going to have one scene, so I usually just call that level 1 or main, and double, and there you are. You are in your game. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and load in our objects, and these are going to be sprites. Alright, so we're going to bring in the player car first. So click on add a new object, sprite, and I'll just call it red car. Add an animation. Oops. And there we are. And I'll click on apply. And there's our red car. Okay, so a lot of my students think that since it's an endless game, that you would make the highway be a tiled sprite. But they're saying not to do that, so they're making it an endless game through another way. Let's go ahead and add in the highway. Add an animation. And there we go. All right, and we'll go ahead and save it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in all the rest of the cars, blue, gray, green, pink, and they want them to be known as traffic cars, but they're going to be called their individual names, blue, gray, green, and pink. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording, and it looks like I need to bring in the tree as well, and then I'll come back to do the explosion because that one is an animated sprite. Okay, so I'm back, and you can see that I have all of the objects created and loaded up. If you ever need to change any of their properties, you can always click on these 3 little dots, edit object. You can change the name, change the graphic or the animation. All right, so I'll add a new object. This is going to be the explosion. Add an animation, and this one is truly an animation. And so on this one, you're going to go ahead and click on the very first frame. That's frame 1. You can hold down the Shift key and click on the last frame, which is 8. Hit open, and they just load up. You can then go ahead and hit preview, and you can go ahead and see a preview of it there and replay it. And there we go. Hit apply, save, and you're good to go. 8 objects. Okay, so now we're going to add in some top-down movement to the car, and the top-down movement basically just means that the car, as you can see here, can be moved 4 or 8 directions, up, down, left, right, and diagonally. Alright, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to go over here to our car object, edit object, and click on the behaviors tab, add a behavior to the object, and go look for the top-down movement right there. Okay, so we're brought into the settings here. And so we're just looking at the settings here. We want diagonals allowed, deceleration, they're saying to do 400, uncheck default controls. And I think that's because we're going to go ahead and code our own controls. And uncheck rotate object. And there we go. Apply. Okay. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and that's basically all the setup. So we're going to call that part 1 of the video. It's just under 7 minutes long. And in the second part, we're going to go ahead and get into some of the coding, the events, and adding the objects into the scene and getting them to start to work. So I will see you in part 2.